everyone, I am Heather and I'm here today to give you a pretty massive May travel news update. Before I share all of the news with you from this past month, I want to make a couple of quick channel announcements. Number one, you may have seen that I posted in my Instagram story recently that this is going to be the last travel news update video that I'm going to do. I do feel like I pack a lot of really helpful and important travel information into these videos. However, they are a lot of work for me. I compile all this information from a multitude of different sources, and it's a lot of work for me every single day of the month keeping track of all this and sorting it and trying to decide what I need to include, what do I not need to include, and writing it all down and organizing it for you. It's a lot of work for me. And the travel news videos are my poorest performing videos on my YouTube channel. I know that there are some people who really like them and appreciate them. And to those of you who do, I apologize that I'm not going to be doing them anymore, but they're just not worth it to me to continue to put in as much time and effort as it takes to make these videos for as small number of views that I get, and I get basically no comments and very few likes. So they just don't perform well on my channel. So I'm not going to continue doing them. This particular news video, I decided here on a whim. I don't even have makeup on or anything. Please forgive me. I decided to do this one earlier than I was going to. I was going to put it up on the 30th of the month on Sunday, but I'm having just a dickens of a time organizing my videos for June. We are actually going on vacation in June, so we have a whole bunch of cool videos coming from that trip. I would like to make sure that you are subscribed and that you click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming travel content, because we do have several trips planned coming up. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that. And I was trying to get all the videos done for the whole month of June, and I want to get all of those done before we go on our trip, so that I don't have to worry about any content until after we get back. And I just keep having to rearrange the schedule of when I'm posting the videos. So I'm putting this one up early because I just want to get it out of the way. And then one other little tangent here for you. For those of you who are fans of our Universal Yums videos, I also recently announced on my Instagram story that we were canceling our Universal Yums subscription. Now, there were a couple of reasons for that. One is that we're trying to cut back on costs. We really need to cut back on our bills. And that was just one thing that was easy to let go of. They had also raised the price recently, which I wasn't too happy about. Secondly, trying that many snacks and treats in one sitting was sometimes kind of hard on our tummies. And didn't make us feel the best. So that was a second thing. And third, I kind of felt like the kids were just getting a little bit tired of it. So I decided I would cancel it, and I did cancel our Yum Yum box, which is the second biggest box there's three sizes: the Yum box, the Yum Yum box, and the Super Yum box. Well, then today I was thinking about it, and I started to get kind of sad, because I know there are a lot of people who I think have subscribed to my channel because I do the Universal Yums unboxings and taste tests. And so I didn't want to let those people down. And we do have fun making those videos. I mean, some months are better than others, but I just got kind of sad about eliminating those videos completely. And so we are going to make a little tweak. We're still going to do monthly Universal Yums videos, but we decided to go down to the smallest box, just the Yum box, which has, how many treats did it say?
I think 5 to 7.
5 to 7 treats or snacks in it. We always have so much food left over, and I feel like we're really wasting it because a lot of it ends up getting thrown away. And also, we're hoping that with less food in the box that maybe we won't have any issues with our tummies. And then the other thing is, we're probably going to focus on just Ben and I doing the box, and Megan's going to join us as like a special guest for the treats that she particularly wants to try or would be interested in. So that's what we're planning with the Universal Yums boxes going forward. But again, this is my last monthly news update that I'm going to be doing, simply because there's so much work for me for very little reward. The other thing I wanted to say about this is, right now, with having the pandemic, having shut everything down for such a long time, and now kind of getting back to traveling, the news changes so frequently and so fast. It's very difficult for us as YouTube creators to keep up with it all. I'm trying to keep up with all the travel news. There's other YouTube channels that do just cruise news or do just Disney parks news. And even they have trouble keeping up with just their stuff. So for me to try to keep track of all of it is really challenging. Even YouTube creators who make weekly or daily news videos have trouble keeping up with the changes. I'm thinking of Tony over at Lolita Loca. He does a daily cruise news video, and he even has sometimes is already out of date by the time between the time he films the video and gets it live up on his channel. Stuff has already changed. So you can imagine how difficult it is for me when I only do them once a month to keep track of everything. Okay, but here we go. Okay, first we're going to start with the general travel news that happened in May. First of all, France, the country of France, plans to reopen to Americans who are either fully vaccinated or have a negative COVID test on starting June 9th. The TSA has extended the mask mandate for planes, buses, trains, and airports through September 13th. So despite what else the CDC has said about mask wearing, everybody, vaccinated or not, still has to continue wearing a mask in those public transportation areas and on all public transportation. Okay, Australia will not be allowing any international travel until mid to late 2022. Australia has been taking a completely different approach to managing the pandemic in that they don't really allow any cases in their country at all. It's really strict. Italy will allow non-European Union visitors who can show that they are negative, vaccinated, or immune with no quarantine. I don't know the date that is starting, but then here's a second thing about Italy. Starting on May 16th, which is already passed, obviously, Italy will be welcoming travelers. Wait, okay, I can't read my own notes here. I have two dates and I don't know what the two dates mean. Italy welcoming travelers July 30th, but then I also have May 16th. I don't know which one is right. From the United States, Canada, Japan, and the United Arab Emirates only. And these are COVID tested flights. So you have to have had a test to get on the plane. And there's two airlines that I know of that are doing these COVID tested flights to Italy, and they are Delta and American Airlines. So there's certain special flights, and they're just from a limited number of cities, for example, in the United States, directly to Rome. Sorry, that was confused. I'm really confused about what exactly is happening with Italy. Okay, if anybody knows, put it in the comments below. All right, Greece has ended almost all restrictions and is welcoming tourists from the European Union's green list and the USA, Serbia, Israel, and the United Arab Emirates with proof of vaccination or a negative test. And Spain is welcoming fully vaccinated Americans starting June 7th. Canada has extended the border closure with the United States through June 21st. Okay, next up, cruises. And I'm sure this isn't all of it. The CDC relaxed part of the framework for conditional sailing, and they gave an alternative to the test sailings. I'm sure if you follow cruise news, you've heard about this already. Cruise lines can skip the test sailings, part of the process of the framework for conditional sailing process, if they agree to 95% of passengers and 98% of crew being fully vaccinated. Nobody completely really understands what that 95 and 98% thing is about, like who are the people that are not vaccinated that are allowed? We don't really understand that. But most of the cruise lines who kind of seem to want to go this route are actually just making it flat out 100%. They're saying, if we're going to be vaccinated, everybody's going to be vaccinated, which to me is a lot simpler and makes more sense. Okay, Rhapsody of the Seas, this is a Royal Caribbean ship, will be home porting in Bridgetown, Barbados for cruises to the Southern Caribbean beginning in November 2022. So that's a ways out. I know this is not the only thing I have about Norwegian, but Norwegian Cruise Lines won't cruise again until August at the earliest, and it threatened to pull all ships out of Florida because of Florida's insistence on not allowing businesses to ask about people's vaccine status. It's still very up in the air what's happening with that, because that is actually like a law in Florida now, or an order that the governor put out saying that businesses can't ask what people's vaccine status is, but there's ships that are planning on sailing out of Florida that plan to like have 100% vaccinated cruises. So I'm still really up in the air about what's happening with that. The Odyssey of the Seas, Royal Caribbean's newest ship, was supposed to start sailing out of Israel this summer. Those cruises have all been canceled because of the conflict in that region. And the Odyssey of the Seas ran into another problem. They had 4 crew members test positive that they had to offload in Spain, and they're quarantining in Spain. And then a 5th crew member was like inconclusive. And now the Odyssey of the Seas is heading toward Florida, and they're hoping to sail it sometime soon out of the United States. Okay, Vision of the Seas cruises out of Bermuda have been canceled. They were planning on sailing those cruises later in the summer. They have decided not to do that because people in the United States are more interested in sailing cruises directly out of the United States and don't want to travel to Bermuda to do it. And Royal Caribbean has been approved for test sailings in June. And then, I don't even think I have it on here. Yes, I do. Celebrity, which is part of the Royal Caribbean group, the Celebrity Edge, has been approved by the CDC with vaccinated passengers and crew to sail the first cruise out of the United States that's going to happen since the pandemic shut everything down. It is a 7-night Caribbean, I don't know if it's Western, Eastern, or Southern, out of Fort Lauderdale, leaving on June 26th. And right there, that's where I don't know what's happening, because they're saying this is a vaccinated cruise, but it's out of Florida, which is saying they can't ask about people's vaccinations. So if anybody knows about that, what the deal is with that for Celebrity Edge, which will be the first cruise to sail out of the United States since the shutdown, how are they resolving that? I don't know. Okay, and then Spectrum of the Seas will begin cruising from Hong Kong July 30th with no port stops. So that's another one similar to, is it Anthem? Which is the one that's sailing out of Singapore? I can't remember. Another Royal Caribbean in that class is sailing out of Singapore and has been for a while. That one got a little tightened up on its restrictions recently because the name is eluding me. But the ship that's been sailing out of Singapore got its restrictions tightened up fairly recently because they've had a surge in cases in Singapore. Okay, and then lots of changes were announced from Norwegian Cruise Line and its 2 like partner lines, which is Regent Cruises and Oceania. Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong about that. Basically, Norwegian is letting people know through these announcements that this is going to be a very slow comeback, and it's going to take months and months, and ships are going to start up one at a time, very gradually. And I think that's probably what we're going to see with all of the cruise lines. But Norwegian has already announced the dates that each, a whole bunch of their ships are going to start, and they're quite a ways off. And I didn't list them all here, but basically they've just extended the suspensions of each ships. A lot of them aren't starting until the fall, and some of them they have announced aren't going to be starting until 2022. So people who had bookings on those ships prior to that have all been canceled now. And then they were going to be sailing Norwegian Joy out of Jamaica, having it as a home port in Jamaica, and they've dropped that now too, so the Norwegian Joy is not sailing out of Jamaica anymore. All right, moving on to theme park news. Walt Disney World has announced an all-new Disney Halloween after-hours event called Boo Bash. And this is going to run from August 10th through August 31st from 9 p.m. to midnight at Magic Kingdom. Masks will be required. I don't know if that's changed. Okay. Walt Disney World and Universal eliminated the temperature checks and lessened the distancing requirements. That was closer to the beginning of May. They lowered the distancing from 6 feet to 3 feet. And I never agreed with the temperature checks. They weren't even doing those at our clinics and hospitals around here for the longest time. I think they realized a lot of people could be carrying the virus and don't have a fever, so that was kind of pointless. Okay, Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando changed the face covering rules on May 15th. No longer required to wear a face covering outside except when you're in a queue. And like I said, the distancing is now 3 feet. Masks are still required at the entry to the park. And I'm sure the reason for that is so that they can see that you have a mask. They make sure that you have one. And then you have to wear them in theaters, on all transportation, indoors except when eating or drinking, and in the entire length of the queue and on the attractions. You still have to have masks on. Disneyland Paris is reopening on June 17th. Legoland New York finally opening on May 29th. That's been delayed by almost a year. Similar to how complimentary Magic Bands ended on January 1st of 2021 for resort hotel guests, they are now ending complimentary Magic Bands for annual pass holders at Walt Disney World. So annual pass holders will no longer get complimentary Magic Bands starting in August. And that is it for the May travel news update. Thank you so much to all of you who have watched these travel news update videos. I will still, of course, be keeping track of the travel news at all times. I always do. I'm just not going to keep track of it for you guys and make videos about it anymore. But if at any time you ever have a question about anything going on in the travel news, please leave me a comment or leave it in my discussion tab, and I will definitely answer your question. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. I hope you all have a great Memorial Day weekend. Safe travels.